going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 1115 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I am your host, Christian Piles. Joined today, usual cast of characters. To my right, James Dean Rader. We are live here in Austin, Texas. To my left, Jonathan Kozak.
Good morning.
And to the left, Tyler Meisinger. Some people call him Kryler, and I think that is messed up. He does not cry.
I don't think anyone was calling me that.
No, you get called Kryler.
Never.
Now
Now it'll happen.
it's going to go.
Yeah.
Call him Kryler, guys. Don't make me a liar. And we have a lot to talk about today. Portal's going crazy. The craziest Hodge race I can recall, even crazier than 2021. You know, the steroid stuff was weird. Where do we begin, James?
Portal.
And before we get into all the names going in, teams, where they're going, why they went in, et cetera, just kind of your thoughts. Is this good? Is this bad? All these guys going in the portal.
I mean, to just be candid, I some of them I see them and I'm like, man, really? Like, I don't know. You feel for the programs to an extent, and you feel like the programs have been good for certain individuals. You don't know what makes it tough is like you don't know every.
You can't make broad statements.
Well, and also like for example, but top of mind is Jordan Williams.
Yeah.
This guy gets in trouble at Oklahoma State. Serious. Little Rock takes him in. Not only is he there, Jordan Williams wrestling extremely well. He had a great year. He looked awesome at the end. He gave Caleb Henson a war. He didn't place. He was right there to place. And I just feel like, just knowing Neil and knowing that program, it's like you like to see them keep. Now, I don't know everything behind the Jordan Williams decision, but just on the surface level, I'm like, man, this is a program that really, on the outside looking in, it looked like they did a lot for Jordan, right? And you're leaving. So that you get filled with a little bit of those kind of thoughts. Sometimes it's like, how much is it? I understand a kid wants to start, right? And I think a lot of people are wondering about the Iowa State situation with Swiderski and Chittum in the portal. And part of me is like, well, those were going to be really crowded spots. Are they seeing writing on the wall there? Anthony Echemendia coming back at 149. The Frosts maybe want to move up. Pinheiro, Chittum. So, I don't know. It's a little crowded there. So maybe they're like, maybe it's time to look elsewhere and get a more seamless, path to starting. That's just a read. Nothing inside info there. Just how I view it. As far as the good or the bad, I think. Candidly, for us in the offseason, it's good. It's a lot of storylines. It's a lot of excitement. You get kind of a fresh look of things. And, the transfer portal, a lot is made of going from not power programs to the power programs. And people don't like that as much. And I certainly understand that. But I think there's a lot of it, the transition the other way, too. Like you saw someone. Perfect example is Ethan Styles, our guy, eluded. Mm-hmm. He was behind literally 2 national champions at Nebraska. He transferred to Oregon State, who did a great job with him and was able to, pour into him. And he gets on the podium. Had a great year as a freshman, right? And that's one of many examples. So I think the transfer portal can be really, really good. I think there was a time before the portal where the institutions had way too much power, where they could really put the thumb on the wrestlers and keep them in a spot that's not as good for them. Now did it swing a little too much the other way? Maybe, maybe not. And I think it's really, you have to look at it on a case-by-case basis, and I don't look at it as a broad, thing. Like, seeing AJ Ferrari in the portal, on the one hand, you understand it, and I think there's no surprises that he's in the portal, considering everyone kind of thought this was a one-year thing. AJ, prove yourself, then go elsewhere. But on the other hand, I can't help but think that we all saw a more mature and composed, the most mature and composed, mentally focused AJ Ferrari we've probably ever seen. Mm-hmm. And he is the first to tell you how the Cal State Bakersfield staff, Luke Smith, Ernest James and company, contributed to that. So now as we make decisions, look elsewhere, I hope for AJ's sake, that is the top focus, because the wrestling thing is obviously going to take care of itself with AJ. Yeah. And with no one's going to question that this was not the ideal training scenario for AJ, and he still got third place and beat Jacob Cardenas.
Did you see Luke's tweet yesterday?
Yeah, they're not done. They're not giving up.
Yeah.
Which is that would be awesome if they could keep him. But for AJ, I hope he keeps that front and center. How can I enter a place that is going to keep me, focused and grounded and on this path of maturation that he's on? So that's what I was thinking about with AJ. But it's all case by, like TJ Stewart. I'm not surprised at all. That was, a year ago. Yeah. It looked imminent he was going in the portal and didn't. So I could have told you that was coming for sure, and it did not work well for TJ this year. Whose fault is that? I don't. Honestly, I think Virginia Tech's a great place to be really, really good at wrestling, and their track record proves that. But if TJ needs a fresh start somewhere, okay, and maybe that's best for both sides, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really, truly different for every kid. And then Nasir Bailey, I think this one's weird for me too, because this is a guy who last year was 4th at 133. The 3 guys who finished ahead of him were not in the field, and Nasir didn't place. So to me, I don't think, man, what did Little Rock do? Like, why didn't Little Rock make him what happened? What happened there? So I don't know. I look at that a little differently.
It seemed like Nasir was wrestling his best too, going into the NCAA tournament, right? Where it seemed like he was poised to have a really good
a lot of people
tournament.
Thought he was going to be a title contender.
Mm-hmm. I have a bit of a tough draw. Lost to Frost on the backside.
He teched Frost. He literally teched Frost last year.
Yeah.
He teched Frost. That's not a – I don't know what happened. So maybe it is time for a fresh start for Nasir, but I don't think that if you get 4th at a place as a true freshman, I just have a hard time thinking that is the problem.
Yeah. How much do you think NIL is factoring into maybe like the decision-making process to enter the portal, knowing like something there could be something shiny out there that's waiting for me if I go into the portal for guys like Nasir or Casey Swiderski or Cody Chittum? How much of it are they chasing those NIL opportunities?
Yeah, I wonder. I think they don't. Well, with the portal, they can go back to their institution. They don't have to stay there. But I don't know. It depends where you go, really. Right. And I think there's some figures that are, they're realistic. You go there, it is truly life-changing money in a lot of instances. But how many of the guys in this list are going to command that? I think it's a pretty small number, right? That are really going to command, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. That to me is not realistic for the vast majority of the wrestlers on this list. And really, it feels like there's a very small number, if just one program that's really shelling out the crazy, crazy money.
Yeah.
Where it's more speculative with the others, whereas, we'll just say it, Iowa, like every freaking fact and figure about that place gets out. It is the leakiest ship in college sports. For whatever reason, everything gets out there. And so with the other schools, it's more speculation.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've seen some of the narrative around Iowa and the transfer portal is like, oh, well, it didn't work out for him. But it's like, it kind of has in some ways with Stephen Buchanan and Kelly Endo. Like, they haven't missed completely on their portal
Last
guys.
Year they had Frantic. It looks bad when Teamer, DNPs.
And Parco. That's injury, right?
Yeah, both of them. But that's part of it. And that was one thing, something that someone said to me when they transferred there. It's like they've been wrestling in the Pac-12. It's just a completely different ball game. The rigor of wrestling in the Big Ten for those guys, and they're not going to hold up. That was said to me. Now, I'm not saying I said that. I'm saying that was said to me the second they were transferred. I was like, oh, I didn't really think about that. And then maybe it wasn't that reason, but that's what we saw happen. Those guys were not able to get to.
Also being 6-year seniors, I'm sure probably
That doesn't help.
played a role.
That does not help things.
Because, I mean, shoot, Parko beat Lovett this year. He beat the national champion.
Yes, he did. Yes.
So it wasn't like he lost everything. He wasn't bad at wrestling.
No, he wasn't
was still
bad.
very good at wrestling.
Absolutely. Very true.
And I'm kind of like you, where you have to take it on a case-by-case basis. And sometimes, a lot of times, it is best for both programs to part ways, or both individuals, an individual in a program, to part ways and get a fresh start. But it does feel not right, where it feels like for a lot of these kids, when the attitude is, I didn't achieve what I wanted to this year, I need to go somewhere else. Do you need to go somewhere else? Sometimes you do. So I'm not trying to point fingers at any individual person, but when that kind of feels like a lot of the overall reason people are going in the portal, it doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah.
You know, but that's just the day and age we live in, for good or for bad. And I do think the transfer portal is a good thing. I wrote an article last year on transfer trends. I'm going to finish up one probably today or tomorrow on this year's as well. And actually, the team that benefited the most from the portal, that won, quote unquote, the portal, with guys that went in, that they got, and also guys that they lost, was Lockhaven. Lockhaven had the biggest differential in NCAA points that they gained versus what they lost.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these top programs are losing guys too. You know, I was losing guys like Seabricht and Riggins to the portal, where maybe they wouldn't have.
Glazier.
A year ago, yeah.
And you know, how do you not look at Dean Hamady and be like, oh, that was really smart to transfer to Oklahoma State? And he got a little. I'll say this, a little bit of that was luck.
Yeah.
Because he transferred to the older staff, and he ends up with David Taylor, who is the guy best suited for his skill set. In my opinion, right, to get him to the next level. And he goes from DNP to NCAA champion, through 2 NCAA champions. So, I mean, you can't argue with, you know, the results in certain cases also. So it's not all good. It's not all bad. Like many things, it's in between. And even with a particular, take any individual transfer case, not any one of them is all good or all bad, right? They all have a little bit of both. So that's what makes it kind of fun to talk about.
A lot of people hit me up yesterday as an Ames native saying, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, this team is getting depleted, and that's a bit of an exaggeration, right? They got 4 guys that went in the portal, 2 that went in the past week, but they also had Redding and Terrakina that went in before NCAs.
Yeah, those guys. I mean, for Redding, man, that's a guy I want to see get a shot.
Right.
He's not good enough to start at Iowa State. He's a really good wrestler. He's an NCAA qualifier. He's a guy that on the right day could be an All-American, but he's not going to start for Iowa State.
He tried 33, 41, 49. He did the Ono.
Bro,
Don't matter.
He did it all. He's cool.
Hard worker.
I'm happy for him. Terrakina, man, it's just not worked there. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably if you're looking for a mutual one, that's got to be, because he's been in and out of trouble for a long time. He and Swiderski both, honestly, just like a lot of off the mat issues.
My message to Iowa State fans were, don't blow this out of proportion. It's tough when you see guys like Swiderski and Chittum go in the portal because of the way they wrestle. They're fan favorites, right? No matter what. And they're both very, they have a high ceiling. Both those guys. I think everybody realizes that they can place fairly high up on the podium, especially when it's all said and done. But if you kind of take away your favoritism because of how they wrestle and look at it a little more objectively, it's like you said, Frost might be moving up. You know, you got Etchemandia coming back in where, okay, Chittum was the guy at 157, but you might have to slide in Pinheiro
Yeah.
at 157 next year. 2-time Big 12 champion. He scored, probably within 1 point of Chittum this year at NCAAs.
Close.
Right? Swiderski's out, but okay, at 49, you're going to get either Frost or Pinheiro or Etchemandia there next year, where they can do just as well as Casey, who finished 7th his freshman year at 149. So
And similarly on the Iowa State front, Carroll's in there, Chittum's in there. These are guys who I think are really good, but they've only known leaving, right? Going back to high school, college. I mean, those are two guys who, Carroll committed to Penn, Illinois, Oklahoma State, went to Iowa State, now in the portal. Cody Chittum committed to Minnesota, went to Iowa, is at Iowa State, now in the transfer portal. Like, there are some wrestlers that are just, it's different high schools, they move. They move, and that's just their nature. And, I think that's what, with those two, it's consistent with what they've done every step of the way.
And with Carroll, especially, he might be a guy who could really benefit from going to a program like a Cal State Bakersfield, where they can really hone in, give you a lot of attention on and off the mat. Maybe you can go heavyweight and not have to worry about making 197, which I think was a decent pull for him.
Yeah.
And you can really just focus on getting your life in order. And maybe the wrestling is kind of secondary.
Yeah.
Where you go, and the more you get your life on track and your mental health on track, then the wrestling can come secondary, and you can kind of focus on maybe even international too, then 97 kilograms, where you get an extra couple pounds.
And don't get me wrong, I would go after Carroll and Chittum. I think Chittum is one of the more unique technical wrestlers in wrestling. This is a head-down brawler, tenacious hand fighter with really good scramble and mat game. Like, he's got a lot of the pieces. For whatever reason, he just hasn't put it together at the national tournament yet. But you take his skills, you take his tenacity, you take who Cody is, like, just as on the the person level, the work ethic level. There is so much to work with there. It just hasn't translated yet, but I feel like it will. I don't think Iowa State's the issue. I don't know what it is, but it maybe just hasn't happened yet. But I still think it will. And for Carroll, Carroll can't go heavyweight because Younger Bastida's there, right? He maybe doesn't think he's a 97. I don't know. I kind of am like, there's no tweeners. I'm like big on that. He may fit the description, but it could be more. Yeah, there's not many.
He seems like he should be a 97, just eyeball.
Yeah, just looking at him. Yeah, who did he wrestle? I was like, he's so much. Oh, Buchanan. Buchanan just dwarfed him. Buchanan was so big this year. AJ Ferrari's huge. Jacob Cardenas. These are big individuals. So I don't know. Everyone likes my Ricky Henderson shirt. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's opening day, baby. Shout out to the GOAT.
Were you surprised, or how do you like the fit of Swiderski at Oklahoma State? That one didn't take long.
It didn't take long. Honestly, my gut reaction was kind of like, well, he's obviously really good, but I didn't understand the fit. One, because I think Casey wants to go for 149. I feel like Tegan Jamison really needs to move up to 149. That really
maybe having any more weigh-in debacles.
That bared itself out very literally at the Big 12 championships. But you just look at this guy, and he's so big. His attack rate is not high. I don't think.
Maybe Tegan goes 57.
Honestly, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see him getting that big. Maybe he does. He could do. So that's the thing. When a guy is like legit too big for a certain weight class, they probably are competitive up at two weights. Like, it's not unrealistic, especially if you're at a lighter weight class.
I've seen that especially more in the past 10 years where guys have moved up 2 weights, and if you're a good wrestler, you're going to do just fine.
Yeah, and Tegan is good, and I think his attack rate needs to increase. And I wonder, part of me wonders, like, how much, if you're cutting that much weight, how much is it in the back of your mind? Am I going to hold up? I can hold up for 7
It's a
minutes.
thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So maybe he does go 57. I don't know why I never thought about that, but okay. If he goes 157, I feel better about the lineup synergy. To me, it felt like Tegan 49 next year makes sense, but if he double bumps, because Casey is not at 57.
No,
I feel like he's.
I mean, he was going to make 41 this year.
Yes.
They do have, Robidou coming in, Vega coming in. It's going to get crowded there. In a couple years.
I mean, Vega is. I mean, he's like
41.
33, 41 probably right now. He's not that big. But Robidou, I think, is a 57. D is a 65. So yeah, I mean, listen. It's not hard to figure out what David is doing at Oklahoma State. He saw what happened at State College over the 15 years he was there. He saw, okay, they have the best RTC. All right, we got to get bodies in this room that are world class, world level. Okay, they are what they've done in a year is pretty insane, and they're not done. And then what else? Penn State they're crowded, right? They've got super competitive weight classes, especially now. It wasn't as much that way when he first got there. That took time. But I don't think he's going to ever try to, let's just have a perfect cookie cutter, 10 weights with 10 clear starters. Like, I think that overlap he's going to view as a really good thing, too.
And guys want to be a part of this.
Clearly.
They want to be a part of something great. It's the reason Penn State can get so crowded, where you can have not a cookie cutter lineup of transfers, because guys are going to go, I think I'm going to start. I'm that guy. I don't care if it's competitive. This is where I have to go to be the best version of myself as a wrestler.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a part of it. And that's, these kids, they want to go to a room where they're going to be challenged too. That's a big part of it. And you have that at Penn State, very obviously, top to bottom. You've got world-level guys, and David is creating that. He in basically overnight has the second-best RTC and actually put effort there, where a lot of programs don't. They've really kind of punted on the whole idea. And I'm not saying it's not realistic for most institutions, so I'm not downplaying that, oh wow, you don't have a
just go get a good RTC.
Yeah, just get a good RTC. I'm not trying to simplify that, but there are other entities that could, and for whatever reason don't.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think there's anyone else that Oklahoma State's going to go after in the portal? Like, do you see any good fits for the Cowboys? Is it a Facundo?
Well, Facundo's thrown out there a lot. A lot of people think he's going there. That's another one where the fit is interesting to me, because I think his best weight is 165. D Lockett is just that's the bet I want to make, right? It's just D, his long-term future. But is Facundo, could he be 74? Could he be 57? Could he, I just think or maybe D wants to redshirt a year and then they move pieces around.
He did post, I can't wait to win a national title next year.
And it's so funny how it shifted for almost every kid. They don't want a redshirt.
Want to go right away.
It's I'm telling you,
It's smarter for the coaches to do that now too, with all the transfers. Like, get the guys in the lineup when you can.
Yeah. No, it's great. I love it. I hated waiting a year for every good wrestler to come out. And there's very few instances, like the Angelo Ferrari situation was the most obvious one, where like it just makes sense.
Yeah.
For the now and for the future. But it's
to go or to redshirt?
To redshirt.
I agree, yeah.
But it's very rare you get one that's sort of that obvious. And it's so funny how, I don't know if it's funny, but it's just curious. It feels like just 5 years ago, it was weird for an elite guy to want to wrestle right away. Like, well, they're wrestling Soriano right away. Whoa. Mark Hall, they're pulling his red shirt. Holy cow. Those were Tom Brands. Tom Brands has still only wrestled one true freshman. Spencer Lee.
Spencer, yeah.
So even some
Miguel Estrada.
Miguel, he didn't, and entered him at the conference tournament.
Hey.
Hi.
AJ Ferrari's in the portal. Is there any chance he ends up back at Oklahoma State or Iowa?
I do not think Oklahoma State's an option.
They need a 197.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, so does Iowa, But
Yeah.
I think,
Is Cody Merrill not going to be in 97?
well, I think Cody's an 84. It's interesting, man. I think Cody is an 84. Maybe he fits best for their lineup at 97. Maybe not. Maybe Carroll. I think Carroll's more likely to go back to Oklahoma State, honestly.
Really?
I think he wants to.
Okay.
What the heck?
Yeah, I know. Just threw that out there. I don't plan on saying that. But he was in Stillwater when I was there for the Missouri duel. For what,
Think of that with Chugo.
for what it's worth.
He probably knew you were going to be there. Just want to say hi.
I just wanted Christian to Christian.
Yeah.
The snip snap.
Yeah. But I don't think, I mean, I think it's not just getting David's buy-in, which I think would be a hurdle. But I think administratively, it's like,
Yeah.
there's scar tissue there. And similarly with Iowa, like what AJ did exactly what he needed to do. It's honestly better that he lost and proved he could
Come back.
show composure in that and wrestle back for third. Like that to me is such a statement.
And I think he was aware of that too. Like that was the first thing he said after he got off the mat when we were interviewing him. He's like, it was about finishing this journey, this year's journey. Like I had to come back and do that.
Yeah.
He was aware of it.
Really awesome. And he did everything he could do. But even still, I think some of these programs are not going to. I think Iowa and Oklahoma State are probably the two. And Penn State, of course, that are not probably going to get in the AJ Ferrari sweepstakes.
Really?
A lot of people are saying Iowa State with the Chris Perry connection. He was his coach at Oklahoma State when he won the title back in 2021, and apparently they were pretty tight.
Oh, yeah.
And Chittum's leaving.
Chittum's leaving.
Yeah. I think if I had to place a bet, it would be Cyclones.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
another thing I said, too, to Iowa State fans that were messaging me about the portal, like, not happy. I'm like, hey, Dresser's going to do just fine in the portal.
Yeah. No question about that. Yeah, I think they could get him for sure. That would be my guess of where he goes. I don't know if Iowa revisits the AJ thing. And honestly, I don't know how much AJ would, I say that. And if Iowa called and said, hey, we want you this money, he'd probably go. But
do you think these bigger schools have like the time to put into AJ like what is necessary?
Yes, I do. I think a lot of yes.
Like who at Iowa State, who do you think can be with AJ constantly and teaching him all the stuff that they had him like beating into his head at
Well, we don't know that was necessarily the case. Was Luke Smith hip to hip with AJ or Ernest hip to hip? I don't know that.
I mean, we've heard stories about like them having guys like taunt AJ and like smack him in the face.
Oh, yeah.
And, like having him practice, like not returning energy and absorbing it. Like,
I mean, Kevin Dresser.
there was a ton of time and energy put into that for AJ. He was
yeah.
the main focus of that team that year.
I think for any program to take him on for their own, forget you want AJ to do well. Forget that. For your own self-preservation,
Yes.
you have to have that in mind. And so, Chris Perry.
I think AJ
knows
is
him
still
well.
on this journey, and whoever gets him needs to continue to push that.
And I think he knows that too. Yeah. I think AJ, understands that. And I think anyone that wants him has to have that built in. Mm-hmm. And like, here's all the frame. And not only for their own self-preservation, but to pitch that administratively. Mm-hmm. Hey, wait, you're going after this guy? How's that going to work? Well, hey, here's what we're going to do, X, Y, and Z. And here's the code of conduct, and here's the, whatever. You got to be buttoned up. I had to do the same when we brought Tyler in. Like, you're going, they said, whoa, this guy's, a lot of issues here on and off the mat, right? But I said, no, you got to trust me here. Mm-hmm. And, went to bat. And now look at you. Mm-hmm. Look at him. Still the bad boy of Flow Sports, but you know what?
Wow, you're willing to give me that dezgnation.
It's not me
claiming that personally.
No, it's me because get your court record up or get out of here. Hey, how about Kozak and I? How about this? That's all we're gonna say right there. Take that.
Most time in court.
That court.
Undefeated.
I will say, think about this lineup. Complete hypothetical. This isn't
Oh my
gonna
gosh,
happen,
here we
but
go.
just use your imagination for a second.
I love it.
Caliendo cuts down to 57.
Oh, whoa.
Right? He's been there before. I don't think he can do it again. But Caliendo 57.
Has
Patrick
he?
Kennedy, wasn't he there his freshman year?
I don't think so.
Pretty sure he started out redshirt year 57.
Oh, red shirt? Talk about a red shirt.
I'm talking about redshirt because we're using our imaginations here. Caliendo 57.
Yeah, he definitely has been a
Always been at
157.
65.
Yeah.
Well, this is imagination time.
Yeah.
so-
There was a time in his life he was smaller than 165.
That's right.
Refute that.
Yep.
65 Patrick Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
74 Gabe Arnold. 84 Angelo. 97 AJ.
That's a team.
Yeah. That's a squad. I mean,
I think Caliendo is too big.
dude, he's
Correct.
but now this could be the Nathan Tomasello situation. Is he lifted up into that weight class and could be cut down?
Shrink your body.
Listen, I'm into this idea because
Also-
I don't. Here's what's so interesting. Patrick Kennedy just got freaking 4th place at the NCAA tournament. How do
Nobody's
you?
talking about it.
The only. How do you get Gabe Arnold into that spot unless Kennedy goes elsewhere, goes to a different weight class? Because it's just so. I mean, he proved what he can do at that tournament. And so I think it's interesting. I think Kennedy's the ultimate team player. This guy is bounced around. He went 165 for a little bit last year, fought for that, went up. I think he would absolutely be able to go down to 65. I think the question is Caliendo, who pull up Caliendo's wrestle stat real quick.
Okay.
I think this guy is only like lost to national champions or close to it. Let's research this. He lost to Mitchell Messenbrink. Go ahead, scroll. He only lost to Mitchell this year. He lost to Keegan. He lost to Mitchell. He lost to Mitchell. Dean Hamady, who's now a champion. David Carr, national champion. Shane Griffith. Harchla. Okay.
Shane Griffith, Keegan.
That's it. He has lost to one non-national champion,
And it's Carson Hartson.
and it's Carson Harchla.
Wow.
That's how good Michael Caliendo is.
That's crazy.
He is so good.
You got to remember that during your Hodge debate.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of ups the quality of competition.
Dude, Caliendo is really slept
Yeah,
on.
sorry.
He is kind of like, right now, he's like the ultimate like gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Like, is he ever? I mean, if Mitchell wasn't there, he would win 165. I mean, that's sort of obvious, but Mitchell's not going anywhere. But yeah, he's super good, and people underrate what he's doing, just beating everyone he's supposed to beat. There are so many guys that lose to guys they're supposed to beat,
Yes.
and really good guys do that.
Champs.
Champions do that. I mean, yeah, Antrell Taylor, he had multiple losses this year. But yeah, so anyways, I don't know what exactly.
Well, then that's another. Hey, Caliendo, look who just won 157. You can
True.
make it down there.
Tyler Kasak is a mother.
Yeah.
Antrell's getting better. You know, he got better. He was not
Just a sophomore.
just a sophomore. National.
Antrell did it. He was at 65 as a freshman. He got down and won 157.
Seriously,
That's the roadmap.
as honestly.
Hey, you want to get big imagination time.
Oh my gosh.
There's another Ferrari in the portal as well. They
Oh,
get him.
no.
They get him to 49. Tell me that's not the most exciting lineup in sports.
He's not 49.
I know, but again, big imagination.
I don't know what excitement is.
Entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, is he gonna start at 149 for them?
He's listed at 65.
65. Yeah.
No, I don't think Anthony goes to Iowa. I'm not sure where he ends up, but complete crazy hypothetical.
Where does Iowa need help next year? 25,
They need help at a lot of weight classes.
41.
25, 41, 49, 57. And then they're good. Then 97.
Is Keeter coming back?
Yeah.
Yes. So he put the football tweet out, and then someone's like, and then coming back to wrestling, right? He's like, yes. Yeah,
You got to assume he'll just be second semester.
yeah, which, you know, for the Iowa State duel, that's scary.
Is Younger going to be back?
Yes.
Oh, they got Leo DeLuca. He could go 25.
Oh, right. Is Leo a day one ready to rock guy? We don't know.
when you look at the
we haven't seen
I know you
much
haven't
of
seen-
Leo.
But when you think about the state of 125, he's a really highly touted recruit. He could be a potential competitive guy right away. I think highly of Leo. I'm not ready to. Definitely not.
He's not Luke Little at all.
No. But, when you think Luke Little just took third, maybe he's a guy who can come in, progress, get better, and, sneak on that podium.
It'd be super sneaky.
WrestleStat has him listed at 33. He is definitely
No way.
He is like a career 125. At this time, it feels.
We
like
love you, WrestleStat, but he is not that big.
I'm also interested to see what Ryder Block can do if he moves up to 149.
I don't know. So many injuries.
So many injuries. Apparently, the cut to 141 was really tough for him. That could have been leading to some injuries. I was high on him coming out of high school. We'll see if he can be anything.
No, I think, I would not be high on that weight if he's their guy, just based on what we've seen this first 2 years. And injuries are part of it. That's part of why I think that.
No, I agree. I'm definitely not predicting him to do well.
Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to see a healthy
course.
Ryder Block out on the mat at his right weight, which is something I don't think we've seen yet in college.
Right. So yeah, they need a lot of help. They need a lot of portal help because their high school recruits are not going to fill that in, other than potentially Leo. I mean, if they wanted to wrestle Ludington year one, they could, but is he a day one ready to rock guy at 197? I'm not as sure. I feel like he's someone year two is going to be impact.
Well, we just talked about wrestling true freshmen. What is now the barrier for ready to rock?
I don't know.
As a freshman.
The cool thing is you get the 5 weights, you get to send them to open, so it's sort of obvious. There's not an element of guesswork, which is good. That's my thought. I mean,
also how much of it is he's our best guy. He might not be an All-American this year. He might only pick up 2-3 wins at NCAAs, but he's our best option. So whether you're ready or not, you're ready.
yeah.
You got to be ready.
True. I agree with that.
Some other guys in the portal, kind of
Dang, we're a lot portal.
A lot of portal talk. Hey, it's popping off. It's a big story.
40 minutes of portal.
But I think guys who maybe deserve a shout out. These are guys kind of a tier below your All-American level. We mentioned the Little Rock guys, Chittum Stewart. Lachlan McNeil, I don't think we've mentioned yet. He's in as well.
That's
but
huge.
some of these guys who I think this is where the portal really kind of shines. Guys who are going to get a chance and can be really good at another program they go to. Your Spencer Moores. Sounds like he's been a Presbyterian.
That is just wild to me.
Sounds like his wife goes there and
Is he married?
yes,
Oh,
I do believe so.
Shout out Spencer.
Married.
He's like me.
Okay.
Got out the game
I
quick.
get it. Yeah.
Hung his rafter up or jersey up in the rafters early.
Brian Soldano, Remy Cotton, Louis Gill, Dragan Orini, Chase Horn, Hunter Katka, Bryce Hepner, Isaac Dean, who had a good year.
Kaka's interesting. Dean's interesting.
Yep.
Really tough.
Colton Washleski.
Okay.
And that's kind of where,
I know, but
I'm talking national qualifier.
I know, but I just want to move the show along. That's what I'm saying.
Well, but I'm saying those are the guys where it stinks, where Ryder gets guys built
Dean up, yeah.
Yeah, they get a national qualifier, multiple national qualifiers, and they enter the portal.
Yeah. They got Alvarez on the podium, So the transfer portal gives and it takes away.
Yep. Gary Steen and David Evans from Penn State are in there. They can go and be starters, maybe national qualifiers somewhere.
David Evans is a tough guy. If you look at his WrestleStat, he's kind of only lost to some really, really good guys, beat Composto. It is so wild, though, that it's 5 days, 6 days after, 5 days after the NCAA tournament. And this is the portal is the topic of college wrestling. Like, the culture or the climate's changed in college wrestling so much.
Because y'all are talking about Remy Cotton, all these people. We could move off of it.
I say we give Remy his hour.
No, we did. We gave him 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Give him 45 minutes. I mentioned his name one time.
I know.
He deserves a mention. He's a national qualifier.
We got the greatest Hodge Trophy race of all time, and
All right. So let's get to
time.
Hodge. Christian Piles.
Yo,
You have a vote.
I do.
Make your argument. I don't even know. You wouldn't even tell me this morning where you're going, but I want to hear, where is your mind at in this Hodge race?
All right, just let me go, boys.
Oh boy.
The case for Wyatt Hendrickson for the Hodge Trophy is abundantly clear. This is a guy who was undefeated, 27-0 for the record. Dominance. He had the highest dominance score of any of the candidates, 5.12, higher than Carter, higher than Mitchell. He led the candidates with pins with 13. Quality of competition. He beat the greatest wrestler in the bracket, in any bracket, Gable Steveson. There's no higher quality of competition than Gable Steveson, and he beat him. Oh, by the way, he beat a national champion, Greg Herfleet, the night before. Okay, from a sportsmanship standpoint, it's hard to find a classier individual than Wyatt Hendrickson, and his case for the Hodge Trophy is so clear and so compelling. Yet, the case for Carter Storace is totally clear. It's totally obvious as well. He was undefeated, right? Just like Wyatt. His domination. He had a higher bonus point percentage than Wyatt Hendrickson, and his bonus rate against All-Americans was higher. And oh, by the way, he wrestled more All-Americans than any of these three candidates. He beat a national champion not once but twice. He bonus 6 of 10 All-Americans that he faced, where Wyatt was 4 of 9. His quality of competition is superior in the amount of elite wrestlers Carter faced en route to his 5th national title. And for that reason, his case is really, really obvious as well. And you could take either of those paths and be totally right. It's totally, how do you interpret what dominance is? What's dominance? What is quality of competition? Is it one guy? Is it best guy you beat? Or is it the list of wrestlers you had to beat along the way? And that's the crazy thing about this Hodge race, is that it's not just like, oh, do you prefer dominance or quality of competition? It's what is dominance? What is quality of competition? These, I think, intentionally vague sort of categories can create this sort of controversy, question on who really is it. And oh, by the way, Mitchell Messerbrink had the highest bonus point percentage of them all. To me, Mitchell is not in the category of Wyatt and Carter for the Hodge discussion. I really don't think so, because of just his quality of competition was not as high, and you can offset not having as good quality of competition if you slaughter everyone, and he didn't bonus all the All-Americans he faced. So yeah, it's a crazy race. Who I'm gonna vote for, I don't know if I'm ready to say yet.
Really? Are you still deciding?
I honestly, and you know what's so interesting? I tweeted this yesterday. Do you consider sportsmanship? It's a criteria. It's 4th. I think it's listed 4th for a reason. But it's like, it is sort of a clear, it's not like, oh, okay, in some years it's like, okay, is Aaron Brooks or whoever a better sport, right? But in this case, it's like, man, Carter has just done some audacious things on social media. I love Carter Storace. But how do people factor that in? If they factor that in, the AJ stuff, the Jordan Burroughs stuff, I think he had a team point taken away against Lehigh. If you actually look at that, then that's like a ding towards Wyatt. So it's crazy. It is truly unbelievable. I'll say this. In the moment, immediately after, I said, oh, Wyatt will win and Wyatt will be my vote. And then I looked at things, as I always do, because I have a vote. I take it really seriously. I look at the criteria. I look at the full year. And then it became a lot less clear to me. And I'll be honest, I think right now my lean is actually towards Carter Storace for the Hodge Trophy.
I have flip-flopped back and forth. Originally, I was Carter. Then I was Wyatt. I think I'm back on Carter. And the only differential for me, I don't really care about sportsmanship. I know it's criteria, but whatever. Tie. Colton Schultz put Hendrickson on his back. And
Did he?
yes, in the Big 12.
Did he get near fall?
Yes. Got a reversal and 2 near fall. And
He just got a reversal.
nope, he got near fall as well. That one, you can fact check me. I'm 100% on that one. He also gave up a takedown to Utah Valley. And I realized, then he went on to Penn. Utah Valley. He beat Colton. He dominated Colton another time. Sure. We are splitting the thinnest of all thin hairs.
Yeah.
And so I think it really has to be something like that. If you want to do one vote, if you get one vote and you have to put it somewhere and you don't want to be Ben and split it or
Howard.
or, just abstain from the vote because
That is the crazy thing. You literally have to bring up things like a Utah Valley takedown.
he gave up the first takedown of the season.
Yeah.
It was in his first match. He gave up the first takedown in the first 10 seconds and then pinned that kid.
Yeah.
But
Carter beat a national champion his first match of the season.
Yeah, so I had there's some tweets that got me tight. A lot of people keep bringing up a couple things about Carter. One, that he went to overtime with a freshman, which is just the most. You're just a clear casual if you think that that's like a ding, like a freshman. No, he went to overtime with Max McAnally, who without COVID-19. We're probably talking about right now as a Hodge Trophy front runner.
only lost to Carter Starace.
And Parker.
And Parker.
Who both are in their
Overtime.
5th NCAA title.
Yes.
He lost to them both in overtime. He took down Carter, which Parker never did. You guys are just not properly. He beat Dustin Plott, who's in the NCAA finals last year. All 3 of those guys were only here because of COVID-19 the extra year, which I have no issue giving those guys their flowers, giving Wyatt, it's his 5th NCAA tournament, and Carter, to me, it's down to those 2. But like the context with McAnally is in, that guy's going to go down as a great. Look at what he's done. If he plateaus and just remains as that guy for the next 3 years, he's probably going to win a national title. And he's probably going to get better, guys. And then Angelo Ferrari, it's pretty obvious what he is as well. He also beat Dustin Plott. So those aren't dings for Carter Starace when you beat guys that are that good. Going to overtime is not a bad thing when you're wrestling that many good guys. I mean, Parker Keckheisen is an all-timer. And also people that don't want to count the all-star, that's insane to me. Like, why would you not factor in that this guy made the walk when he didn't have to against the guy Carter knows? Carter is getting everyone's best crack every time out, right? He is the 4-time national champion. Parker Keckheisen knows in his heart, mind, and soul, I have to beat Carter Starace to be a national champion. And, I get a crack at this guy in November, and he lost, right? Carter beat him. And then he beat him again with everything on the line. Every time out, he's the most scouted, and to not be defeated and to actually have your most dominant year when everyone, it's funny, people want it both ways with the 5th year, 6th year thing. Because on the one hand, you're like, well, of course, they're beating kids and they've been here forever. But on the other hand, we're seeing 5th year, 6th year guys, their bodies can't even hold up. And they're not as good and they're not as motivated. Keeping that fire to want to be good at this for 5 years is actually really hard and something, it's more of a rarity than common. And so I think that's a factor that's not given to Carter and Wyatt, frankly, enough. Like it's hard to do. There's so many like 4th year seniors you talk to them, you're like, I'm so glad. I mean, Bo Bartlett, I'm glad to be done. Right? Like, I don't know if I'm paraphrasing there, but like ready to go to freestyle. Folk style is really hard. That's what a lot of wrestlers are saying there. And Carter has been the guy to beat ever since he beat Kimmer in the NCAA finals. And no one has done it. No one has beaten him. And I think it's crazy to consider him winning 5 as the reason you're good. That is not factored in. You haven't heard me bring up he did it 5 times. Has nothing to do with why I think Carter
should get
my
Hodge.
vote. Yeah, it's nothing to do with it.
You mentioned Mitchell. Something that got you fired up was people talking about how techs are more dominant than pins.
That is crazy to me. Yeah. Multiple people were bringing up, and these are Mitchell Messenbrink voters, stands that think a tech, that Mitchell having techs is more impressive than Wyatt having pins. Mm-hmm. So basically what you're saying is when Wyatt, so there's a couple things they say. They're like, pins can be fluky. Okay, sure, edge case. Also, Wyatt Hendrickson does not have any fluke pins this year, probably in his career. It is who he is. He takes guys down, he puts them on their back, he holds them there till the ref slaps the mat. The idea that he couldn't tech these guys is laughable. He obviously could if that was his goal. But the wrestling rules and the wrestling scoring system says if you pin, you get your team more points. So he goes out and does that. So you guys give Mitchell a bump for not pinning guys, and you ding Wyatt for not teching. That makes literally no sense logically. It makes no sense by the scoring of the rules. Giving Mitchell extra credit for teching a wrestler is insane. I've heard multiple people. I think Ben used to be like, well, a tech is actually more dominant. This is coming from the most prolific pinner in NCAA history, Ben. I remember us arguing about it. It's like, yes, there can be fluke pins, but Carter Starace and Wyatt Hendrickson did not have a single fluke pin. They rolled guys over and pinned them.
It's why they literally have higher dominance, scores an average team point per match out there than Mitchell, who had a higher bonus rate.
Right, exactly. Because the pin is still the ultimate way to win in wrestling. And one other thing, like people say, well, he went to overtime. Well, Wyatt had to come from behind to beat Gable. Like, winning in overtime versus coming from behind, I don't know what the difference is. It's like there's close matches. It's the NCAA wrestling tournament. Like, that's what you have to go through that kind of thing sometimes to win.
Well, the other part of it too is Wyatt only wrestled Gable once.
Yeah.
Whereas Carter, he wrestled Keck Eisen twice, and he wrestled Max McAnally, who's we already know right on the level. He did it how many times? 3 times and won every like that's just.
And Angelo Ferrari.
And Angelo Ferrari. So that's just kind of who he is. Whereas, Wyatt, he wrestled the guys in front of him, but as you mentioned, like quality of competition, it does matter.
Yeah.
I think this is an interesting question that you put in the chat. Who's going to win? I think Carter's going to win. Like I think that's like, well, I think
it's crazy.
Well, just for a couple of reasons. Number one, think of how many Penn State guys have votes.
Two less with David.
That's going to matter. Oh, there you go. That's true.
Also, I don't know that Penn State isn't sort of flipped on this.
Really?
With Carter and Mitchell.
That's true. They could split the votes.
Much.
Yeah.
My mentions, I would say it's almost even, 33% across the board. There are so many people that think Mitchell should get the Hodge.
Yeah, but you'd think that the guys that actually have the votes know.
Think they'll get on the same page?
Yes.
So, I didn't
Collusion.
I didn't think about.
Bo Nickel thinks it should go to Wyatt.
I didn't think about splitting the vote.
Look, he tweeted it at me.
But my other thought was Wyatt kind of hasn't been in the conversation.
No.
The whole year. So it's kind of been like, well, will it be Gable or will it be Carter? And so I feel like once voters have a little bit of time to sit and think about it, it's like we were thinking Carter the whole year.
Right.
And does one, I know it's not one match.
We were thinking Gable all year.
I know. Yeah, I know. But it's like, I know it's not one match, but does one match or does one tournament really swing things to be like, well, yeah, Wyatt Hendrickson's now the best.
It's also not one
wrestler.
tournament. Wyatt just wasn't in the conversation because Gable.
No one thought he could win.
Mm-hmm.
There is a little bit of weird revisionist on Gable right now, whereas the entire narrative was that this is the most next topic weight of all time from this room, from outside this room. And now that Wyatt's beaten him, it's like, whoa, now I'm seeing
2 years off.
Gable's 2 years out. Well, what? Hold on.
No.
What
No.
is it?
I'm not doing that.
Well, I see. I even talked to another Hodge voter who said like he's been out of the game, and
That's crazy.
You know, I'm
I
like-
literally came here on Monday's show and said, I don't care if you did pick Wyatt Henderson. That was a bad pick, like ahead of time.
yeah.
Can I say this though? I wish I would have said this last show, something I thought of after this show, but I do think you wrestled that match 10 times Saturday night, Gable versus Wyatt, and you severance them each time so they don't know the result. I think Wyatt wins that match 6 times out of 10.
I think I don't know if it's 6. I think it's way closer than people realize. I don't think that was a 1 in 10 shot. I think folk style is so much harder than freestyle.
Yes, yeah.
It is so much harder. And just the ways you can compete in positions and not get scored on and take something out of your opponent, I think that in a simulation with them feeling the exact same way, I agree with you. I think Wyatt wins. I'm not saying 6, but 4, maybe.
JD's just saying the way that match played out, like
Yeah.
the
Well, I just felt
circumstances
like-
of the match.
I would say
Saturday night
maybe 2 times.
was Wyatt's night. And I think if they
Stars
wrestle
align.
again and Gable knows, oh, you beat me, I got to take this serious. I got to absolutely lock in, fight for every point. It's going to be a dogfight. Then maybe it goes different. But same scenario where they're going in, everything's the same. It was Wyatt's night, and it wasn't a fluke win. He beat him. He just beat him. And I think he was going to beat him, maybe not 6, but 5, 6.
Yeah.
Wyatt earned that win, and I think he would have done it many times.
Yeah. And what's interesting to me is I thought about this morning. Bo Nickel and Car Starachi were kind of right. When they had their podcast, they're like, Greg can beat Gable. Like, and they kind of like almost touched on what David was saying. It's like they basically were saying Greg's just got to kind of believe it, right? And like kind of think he can beat him. And it felt like at the Big Tens, it didn't seem like Greg actually
Believed it.
he wasn't going after him. I don't know if he did. And for whatever, like Wyatt Hendrickson, Greg Kerfleet, Greg has dominated that historically. He is better than Wyatt on the whole, right? But I do think it was the belief factor in that Gable match is that Wyatt really, for whatever reason, was crazy enough to think he could win.
It's crazy that Wyatt and Gable they've never wrestled.
Well, freestyle.
Yeah, but
Not in folk
not in folk style at all.
Well, Gable didn't wrestle in 2021.
Yeah.
They've only been in the same field 2 different years, I want to say.
Okay.
22 and this year. Because Gable wasn't in 23, 24.
Wyatt wasn't in
21.
2019.
Right.
Is there a fan vote this year?
Yeah. Make sure you
I
do
think the
that.
fan vote is going to go to Wyatt.
I do too.
I think so too.
And I think there's a lot of, listen, Penn State has a lot of votes. There's a lot of votes out there. And I don't know. I part of me thinks Wyatt might get it. And listen, you've heard me. I honestly, I'll vote for who I vote for, and that's kind of who I'll say I prefer this guy to win because, you know, but if the opposite of who I vote for gets it, as long as it's not Mitchell, I'll be like, I just don't, and Mitchell's going to win the Hodge probably next year.
Next year.
Right?
Yeah.
I think they both should get it. I'm just-
Crazy. 2021, honestly, I don't support the co-Hodge, but it is sort of a goofy year. Like, no one got full seasons.
yeah.
Only in conference.
It is sort of like an exceptional thing. There's so few, there's not enough data. I didn't support it, but it's like, never again.
I should have just come in here really hard that they should do the double Hodge and made my debate about
You should have
that.
said Mitchell and Carter.
yeah.
I am surprised at how strong of takes people have one way
Dude,
or the
care
other.
so
Which
much.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
I love it. That's why fans rule, and that's why they're the best. And I'm glad they do.
No, everyone thinks it's obvious for who they think, and they
Right.
think it's 3 different people.
Crazy.
They really do. Like, so many people are like, Mitchell is so obvious. Has to go to Carter. Wyatt, what are we talking about here? That's never been the case.
Well, did you see there's a comment in the chat that we are campaigning for Wyatt because we posted all of his matches on Flow,
so
and we
silly.
didn't do that
Relax,
for Strachey or Messenbrink. So
Dude, it's because we look at who is like a key Google search term, and Wyatt Hendrickson's name is popping off, so we posted his matches.
I think we all honestly on here are leaning Carter.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I think all of us sitting here.
So is that part of our double secret reverse psychology?
you'll never know.
Wyatt had the moment of the NCAA season.
Yeah, he had a moment, like for
And
sure.
it's such a fun race. I love the Hodge Trophy. I love what it represents. I think it rewards the right things in wrestling. It's really cool, and I like that it's not a lifetime achievement thing. And the list of wrestlers who haven't won the Hodge make it even more special.
Jason Nolf.
Jason Nolf, Kyle Snyder.
Dude,
Yanni.
Jason Nolf not winning is crazy. It makes you wonder if
like-
Mitchell will maybe not get his.
Like, okay, let's
Who could win it next year?
yeah. I mean, Max McAnally, but he's gonna be in a.
Bonus rate isn't quite as the same.
It's
as,
super high.
It is.
Are you
good.
kidding me? It's
It did dwindle towards the end of the year, but
he had a bunch of bonus point wins.
Mm-hmm.
He was, and now if you look at the guys he didn't bonus, like Dustin Plott was one. He didn't bonus Gabe Arnold. I know he went to overtime. He didn't bonus Bennett Berge, but he had a ton of bonus points. What are these people saying? in the
They're just
chat?
all over the place.
All over the place.
Yeah, I don't even have.
Someone's mad I only wrestled one
Specifically
when
call
you're in high
out.
school. Doesn't think I know enough. So doesn't think I know enough wrestling.
Yeah.
Maybe you know more than me.
hey,
A lot of people just feel so strongly that Wyatt should like no question be the winner.
Okay.
And that's the thing. That's the only thing is I don't see that many people saying that about Carter, which is kind of wild because like I feel like the four of us all are kind of leaning Carter.
Shane Sparks put it out there. Richard Immel put his vote out there. But Richard's acting like it's so obvious too. I'm like, wow.
Obvious for Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not obvious for anyone. I mean, I think it is obvious that Carter and Wyatt are the two front runners.
Mm-hmm.
I think the broad view that why people are arguing so far for Wyatt is he had an incredibly dominant season and he beat one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
In Gable. People are arguing it's so obvious for Carter Strachey because I think most people, without looking at stats and records, just go, Carter is the best pound-for-pound wrestler in NCAA wrestling right now and just won his 5th title.
Yeah.
And I think those are kind of the two narratives going on between a lot of fans. And like we said, between those two, there's really no wrong answer.
Yeah.
You have a basically airtight argument for both.
Yeah.
make it happen. Win double Hodge.
Dang. Don't do
Carter
it.
is just like the perfect like image of consistency and dominance.
Insane. This year and every other year. Even though that doesn't factor in, for sure.
I mean, we kind of talked about how you're factoring in other years for why Wyatt's win over Gable is a big deal.
Well, I mean, I think you need the quality of competition. Gable is high quality. He was very high quality this year, right? But you know Parker Keckheisen was a returning national champion. That's
You need
that
context.
matters. You need context. But I'm not going back to. I'm not saying Carter beat Mekhi Lewis and Shane Griffith back to back. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about you stirring the pot, Christian. More than I don't know if you intended to or what, but
don't give
you
a
got the
crap.
people fired up about steroids.
Yeah, I did, and I intentionally slacked Tyler. Ask this question because I really wanted to talk about it.
I didn't really want to ask it.
Yeah, that's why I was like, put that in there. I want to say these words. So obviously I wanted to say it, and I'm even more glad that I did. And I think here's the thing. Is it possible that there are college wrestlers that are on some form of PEDs? Of course, I'm open to that possibility. If you think that was my statement, you didn't listen or read what I said. I think it is reckless and unhelpful to make vague, broad-based accusations because I think it paints the sport in a very, very negative light. And a case in point for this and why I said what I said, it's crazy how these camps popped up. Like, I don't know who Meyer's talking about. I don't know who Alex Marinelli and Jacob Warner are talking about. But every fan base seemed to think they knew who they were talking about. It's like, man, for all I know, I'm protecting Iowa wrestling. For all I know, I don't know who's being alleged here. My point in this
I mean, you can put context clues together and think about who Meyer was insinuating.
Okay, you say that, but the second I made my statement and put it out there, someone said to me, well, he's talking about this wrestler, a particular wrestler. I'm like, okay, well, I could see that may be what you infer. Get a call, Division I, head coach, in the know, plugged in. He's like, you know he's talking about this program, right? Completely different team. So just from that one statement from Meyer, all these people are thinking it's one squad. This guy's telling me, no, he's actually talking about this. That's exactly my point. That one statement created speculation around different wrestlers and different programs. And for all we know, he's not talking about either of them. And so it just creates this this cloud of negativity and speculation. And to me, it's weak to put it out there. It's reckless to put it out there without anything behind it. And the idea that Alex Marinelli and Jacob Warner have the first clue of who is and isn't on what, they don't know. They don't know. And let's be honest, their point was about taking points away from a certain program that they're looking up at, and they're trying to cape up for their program. And they're doing it, I think, ignorantly. I do not think they know who is on what. And I don't think Meyer knows who is on what. And if you don't know, then I don't think you should say anything. If you said, hey, I'm worried that in NCAA wrestling, there's wrestlers that may be on some form of PEDs. I'm like, okay, you may be worried about that. But to talk these wrestlers are on steroids, I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah, maybe I am naive to believe that most of the top NCAA wrestlers aren't on performance-enhancing drugs. Obviously, I'm not naive enough to believe that no college wrestlers are. There's definitely a percentage that are, but
yeah, maybe.
I don't think I don't think that a high percentage. I don't think that most of the top guys are.
I thought it was interesting that you had faces of the program at one time where Alex Marinelli, Jacob Warner, basically saying like, "Hey, we don't do it, but we know other people, do." And then you had faces of Penn State, Bo Nickel, Jason Nolf, both saying like, "We don't like, we've never seen anybody on it." Where I feel like that's, I don't know, that's just something that stood out to me. But like the other thing that I'm completely ignorant of is like, how does testing work in Division I college wrestling? I had one person reach out to me at a pretty big program saying like, we were randomly drug tested all the time. And so he's like, there's no way I could have been on it because I was randomly drug tested so often. So like, I'm asking, are all programs tested the same? Is it by program? Is it, by the NCAA? I don't know how it even works.
I think NCAA has a protocol, and then their team by teams have.
Oh yeah, Tyler.
Yeah, so
you were on steroids.
Athlete.
How did you get around the test?
How did you get around it?
Yeah.
No, at Michigan, we got tested like by the school, right?
Yes.
And so that is the most common test. Like you get tested by your school like once a month or whatever. And the reason for that is because they want to catch you before, like if they find out like you're on something, like they want to get you off that thing because like you might get tested by the NCAA or something, and then the ramifications are way worse. And so it's like preemptive, like we don't want you on anything. And so but the NCAA or your conference can come and test you whenever. It's a lot less likely to happen unless it's like at a Big Ten conference tournament or at NCAA's. It definitely, like, the risk is always present. Like, you can always be tested. I never got tested by the Big Ten or the NCAA. I was
Just
never
Michigan?
like a big starter. Yeah, I was never like I started my last year and then COVID shut everything down. But
What about Miles, Mason, Stevan? Like
they were getting tested for sure.
Yeah.
By the NCAA?
Especially by the NCAA, by Big Ten, and those guys especially were international as well, so they're getting tested.
Yeah. Are the other?
Anyone that's training like internationally, that's in the
USADA.
testing pool.
USADA pool is getting tested for sure for steroids.
I've only ever heard of NCAA at like NCAAs. Pretty much.
They can. I
know they can.
There's been guys on our team who got tested by the NCAA. Like it's a lot more rare. Usually only during the school year. Like doesn't usually happen during the summer, but it happens.
Yeah, it's the next boogeyman for some teams to talk about why they're losing. Honestly,
I really don't think it's prevalent. I think the main reason why, and I'm saying like I don't want to get the wrong idea across, like the schools are testing to like the main reason, like the main reason that they're doing it is because sometimes kids are on supplements that have banned substances in them and then
they don't know about it. Yeah.
And that is like the main boogeyman for why these tests are being like handed out by the schools, is because like a lot of the times kids are stupid and take supplements that they don't check with their coaches first. Like we had a whole system, like Josh Torella had to look at the supplements for everyone on the team when I was in Michigan. I had to make sure there was nothing on the banned substances list in it. So that's what that's how it worked there. Yeah,
and for recreational drugs, not performance enhancing drugs.
And
we heard about the hash bash.
Oh my gosh,
Tyler did not participate in it.
Don't you see, now you're making.
You should tell that story.
No, okay. I used to I was trying to be a little YouTube guy. I went to the Hash Bash, which is this gathering of weed smokers in Ann Arbor, and I tried to make a funny video. I did not participate in any of the ganja smoking, but
nerd.
I made a video, and the coaches did not think it was funny, and I got in trouble.
What did they ask you?
They said, "Do you want to be a YouTuber or you want to be a college wrestler?" I said, "I want to be a college wrestler," and now I'm a YouTuber. So,
so you did both.
You did both.
The last laugh.
Yeah.
Before we get to questions, we should mention Jayden James flipping from Virginia Tech to Penn State.
Penn State needed him.
Right, just not even a week after getting Ono, they.
I mean, one day after.
Yeah,
literally the
next day.
And Jayden James was a guy who, he's huge talent, committed really early to Virginia Tech, where it was like, whoa, that came out of nowhere, right? Did he even take any of his other visits?
No, he did his Virginia Tech visit, and he canceled all his other visits. Like, I'm going here. That just shows how impressive Virginia Tech is. But then these programs are all going to have their say. That Penn State was not the only program that continued to recruit Jayden. Everyone knew the fight was on still. You can put whatever you want on Instagram. These coaches, until you stop talking to them, they will talk to you and continue to recruit you until they can, convince you to get on their team. And I am team keep recruiting these kids. It's not poaching. You're literally bad. You're not doing your job well if you don't recruit kids that are committed till they're signed.
Jayden James still U17, I believe.
Yes.
Did not make the team last year. Kind of he was a guy that Bray was really high on going into U17 trials, but he's probably a front runner to make the team.
He's going to be a big guy, too. I think he'd be probably 84, if not bigger, eventually. And he's going to be awesome.
Really good, huge pickup. He's number 4 on our big board, but he's behind Bassett, Forrest, and Ross. He would be number 1 in a lot of years. So
yeah, that's a special crew, and I think he's very special.
Yeah,
great pickup. I mean, getting Ono and Jayden James back to back is crazy. Yeah. On what can you say? But I'll be honest. I'm a little worried about Ono.
Why is that?
Well, I've been listening to FRL for a long time.
Okay.
And I learned from you guys and others just how bad folk style wrestling is for freestyle. Y'all told me. And you know what? I cracked. I thought wrestling folk style actually helped our guys, and it was a good base for wrestling, and they were good. And then y'all broke me, and now I know
this
that
is the number one thing people come up to me at events and talk
And now I know that Ono is. I mean, he's killed, guys. It's over.
Yeah,
and
everyone constantly
misinterprets.
How does CP think this?
It was an incredible era that he had. He had a good run where he beat Vito and Agoyev and Spencer Lee, but now it's over.
Yeah, it is.
Going to Penn State, he's going to ruin his life and his wrestling career. And you know what? Sometimes maybe I'm hard-headed, and it took me a little while to come to terms with it. But now I know for sure you guys were right.
I'm not taking
It's good to hear you. It's good to hear you say that.
This is always people's conversation starter with me when they're like, Tyler, love FRO. How does CP think that people are better at freestyle because they do folk style?
Yeah, I mean, how do you not, honestly, to ditch that bit, how do you not see it?
Oh, my gosh.
How do you not see it? And this was just a natural, Ono's going to, we'll see. Maybe he won't win another world title because of his folk style training.
He might not.
I tend to think he will.
in the next world title.
This is just this is for your own.
I'm literally, is this not the question that you're asking? Does doing folk style make you better at freestyle? You think it does?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, we'll start a poll.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
I'm not taking your bait.
See what the chat thinks.
Yeah.
That's
So
his
anyways,
question, Tyler.
thoughts and prayers for, Wait, hold on.
People are on CP's side.
Shout out John
Saying
Smith.
yes.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I learned something this week.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know? I knew this. There's a U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame.
I did not know this.
Okay, there is one, but it doesn't have John Smith in it. So let's back up. Wrestling is like the quintessential Olympic sport. It's the first. It's the oldest sport. It's an original. It's an original Olympic sport. And John Smith, the greatest we've ever had, is not in the. This isn't the total Olympic. This is the United States Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame. John Smith is somehow not in this. It makes literally no sense. It's a try. I'd put John Smith in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if he wanted to be in it. This guy just personifies greatness and everything. But for wrestling and the Olympic and Paralympic, this is a 6-time World Olympic champion. He won it twice. A 2-time Olympic champion for Team USA. Not having him in it is honestly, it's not that bad for John. It speaks for itself. It's a bad look for the Hall of Fame.
You're not a real Hall of Fame.
You're not a real Hall of Fame. Fake Hall of Fame until John Smith's in it. I'm not. Yeah. This is not a bit. This is just reality. How can you not have? This is the Olympic Games. Wrestling is the Olympic Games. It embodies the Olympic spirit more than any other sport. To not have John Smith, the greatest, not just a great wrestler, a winning wrestler, an innovator, a guy who changed wrestling, who invented a move and a sequence of moves that we've never seen. Not having him in is a travesty. You can vote. You can go to FloWrestling. You can go to USA Wrestling's posted all about it. Vote. You can vote daily up until April. Please do that. Let's get the vote out for John Smith. Listen, right the wrong. They haven't figured it out. Well, let's help. Let's show them just how much we believe that John Smith belongs in this Hall of Fame.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Good rant,
Christian,
Cowboy.
The chat agrees with you. They think that doing folk style makes you better at freestyle.
Yeah.
I think it's personally ridiculous. But I'm giving you credit where credit's due. People agree.
I'm due so much credit, it's insane.
So maybe there is hope for.
Oh, no?
Where did that wrong?
No, he's cooked. It's over.
Do you think that how many national titles, if Ono gets 4 years of eligibility, how many national titles will he win?
Who's going to.
Have you seen the takes? It was like, well, just choose top.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
this guy is.
Beat Vito.
Huh?
Crookham beat Vito. He's shown he can beat a world champion level guy.
Yeah, Crookham, Ono, who knows? Yeah, who will win that takedown battle?
I mean, it's not insane to think that Crookham won all the scrambles when he wrestled Vito.
Until the last time they wrestled.
I think Ono's just gonna be able to take guys down in a way no one else can.
So say it right now. You think he'll win 4 titles if he gets 4 years?
I will pick him to win NCAAs every year where I believe he's the starter. I don't know how many years he's gonna have. I still don't know that. Are they gonna redshirt him? Maybe he wants to do it for 2 years and then goes back to Japan, right? Like that's reasonable. They know he's Japanese. I don't think we view the 4 years as a real thing there, but does he view it the same way? I don't know.
He just wants to win one in front of that large crowd.
Yeah. People are going to figure Ono out. Yep.
I mean, until
like
he
that.
loses, I will pick him in every match. This is
Exactly.
Spencer Lee.
He's in a good place to probably learn how to get off the bottom.
And
I just teach him a quad pod, get some hands.
For the record, I agree.
We've seen Younger figure it out, like Echemendia figure it out, and they are nowhere. They are not on the same level of where Ono is at right now.
Yeah. Crazy.
Space in the chat saying, of course, the poll is wrong. Most wrestling fans only follow folk style, and that's all that poll is showing. And for the record, I agree with you, Spay.
But he also, is the way you worded it, like wrestling folk style does make you better at freestyle.
Yeah, I don't cover
But the question is,
It doesn't make you okay.
the question is, would you be better at freestyle if you only wrestled freestyle?
We don't need to.
We don't need to be too worried with the
this.
poll.
JD's
But
right. That would
agree with
change
you.
the.
Yes.
I think that would change the results of the vote.
You're probably right.
We don't need to do
Well,
this.
I'll make that on Twitter, and I'll bring it to argue it on
We
the
haven't
show.
debated this enough, so.
I know.
We've never done enough. Next question from Mark Neiman. He said, what percentage of wrestlers enter the portal 100% dead set on leaving their current school versus just seeing what their value is?
95?
Yeah.
High.
Okay. Next question from Kansas Next Topic. He said, is it weird how little talk there is of Penn State post-NCAAs? Do you think the lack of media attention is why the Penn State alum seem a little testier this week?
I don't know. They got a ton. I mean, we talked about them a bunch. We did mention that it did feel like the moment was like about Oklahoma
Other
State
things,
when it happened. That is true. Maybe a little test. I mean, Bo and Palacio, that was a little testy. A little testy back and forth there.
More than a little.
Palacio was at 37 minutes ago tweeted in response to your questions tweet and said, "Get me on, CP."
Oh boy. Oh boy.
No. Been on before too. Have a Dake Burrows type running back.
Yeah, if you guys pay attention, I hated that show. I did not like that. I don't want to see,
Just give it another chance.
No, Dylan's wild. I had to block Dylan for a day or two. He was going crazy on me. I like Dylan. We get along great. But yeah, they are a little testy, but it's not a lot of them.
Well, we said it on Monday. It's just they're a victim of their own success. We expected them to do this, and in fact, we didn't expect them to have that record in the semis because of the past success they've had. So when we expect you to win, when we maybe expect you to break the point record, and you do it, you didn't defy expectations. Nebraska and Oklahoma State defied expectations.
Yeah. Yes. And also, I'll say it also puts in perspective their previous semifinal record. It's like it should be so much. The fact that they were able to do that somehow and win like 90%, I forget what it was at a point.
It's crazy.
It is so insane. Their semifinal record is like, no, that's like one of the hardest matches that any wrestler will ever wrestle. To have that record, it's like a little bit of just like that was bound to come down. It doesn't make sense. The wrestlers are too good now. So I think it's a little bit of that too. I mean, for them not to get anyone in the finals from 25 to 57 is crazy.
I do think I wasn't at NCAAs last year, but this is the first year where I felt a slight shift. And so every year it's been Iowa that gets the loudest pop when they win and the loudest pop when an Iowa wrestler loses. That was not the case this year. It was the Penn State guys where they got the loudest pop when a Penn State guy won, but also when a Penn State guy was upset, it felt like there were a lot of impartial fans cheering, which previously I felt had not been the case.
Yeah.
That's something I've talked about every single NCAAs. It's like people just can't get behind not liking Penn State just because of how they wrestle, how they compete, how they conduct themselves. And it felt like eventually, regardless of how they continue to be basically the same, like positive and they're good sports and all that stuff, it's gonna change, right? Eventually, the sentiment. But it took so long. And you're exactly right. This is the first year I felt like the crowd is like, no, this is the powerhouse dynasty we need to see fall, right? Like we're happy to see them lose, and it's not been that way, which is crazy to think because they've been on an otherworldly heater for 15 years now.
Dude, there's so many questions.
Go.
We got to get to all of them.
No,
Low Single said, "Is this the wildest transfer portal we've had? I know it's only been 1 week, but it's pretty deep already."
It is deep. I don't know. I mean, when you think about all the guys, even late, you know, with Ja'Cory, Parco, Buchanan. That
Don't forget Alira's went in too.
Lears went in and out. It's not there yet in terms of how many title contenders are in the transfer portal? I would say one. AJ. So
Next question. Peter Schneider. Sorry, do you?
no, that's good.
Peter Schneider's, this is kind of a follow-up. Our roster caps driving portal activity. I imagine there's some wrestlers going into their junior or senior years who could be casualties and are getting a jump on finding a new home.
Absolutely, that's happening. I mean, look at Penn State had a bunch of guys jump in the portal, right? I'm not reading between the I mean, I'm reading between the lines, but these are guys that 30 is the number. And there's going to be a lot of wrestlers that enter the portal from the power programs. Oklahoma State's got a huge roster. They got to pare it down big time.
NC State had a couple guys enter who were going to struggle to find a starting path, and they have a large roster as well.
Just not even a starting path, just like a roster spot. Just like, can I be on this wrestling team? It is kind of a bummer.
Next
honestly.
question. We kind of touched on this, but Mystic Matt said a tech fall is the truest display of who's the better wrestler and not a pin. I'll die on that hill. I brought this question in to dunk on you because it's silly.
You're dead on that hill. You're literally dead, Mystic Matt.
dead.
You have to die there because you are choosing to not, because you're saying every pin couldn't be a tech. You could. And also, if the tech, I'll say this, and this is interesting. This is something that maybe I'm giving a little credit here. If they changed all of the scoring in wrestling and said winning by 15 is now worth the most team points and pins are the second, then I would say, okay, I'm open to it. But when you give
the motivations are different.
The motivations are different. But you are choosing to not pin someone, or you're unable to pin someone if you tech them.
Well, and now the other side of that is
Six
a
takedowns.
tech has never been easier under our rule set, where takedowns are worth more and near falls worth more.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Next question is from high school wrestling legend. He said, apologies to Christian after watching, I actually agree with this, by the way. After watching this year play out, I think in a post-transfer portal NIL era, 5 champions is more difficult than 10 All-Americans. Before those changes, 10 All-Americans was more difficult. Thoughts?
Yeah,
I think that's true.
He's wrong, yeah. Even though he's apologizing to me, it's always been harder to win 5 weights
This is
than to
where I'm
get
willing
8
to meet you in the
sometimes.
middle. I think that in the NIL transfer portal era, it's a lot closer.
I don't know what that has to do with anything, honestly.
You can
You can
fill,
fill
a hole
holes.
a lot easier.
A lot easier.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's still harder to win 5 weights.
But do you agree that it's easier to do 10 All-Americans now than it was before?
I don't know. I mean, it's so anecdotal. It's just taken 1 year, and now.
Yeah.
I believed it before this year. Like, Penn State getting 10 AAs and 2 champs did not. That didn't shift anything in my mind. And they happened to get 10 All-Americans this year. But I don't know. It doesn't.
But you know what, though? Did they even have any transfers in their starting lineup this
It's
year?
so many.
Fleet.
Just
Metzenbrink.
Oh, Mitchell. Oh, my gosh. I forgot he's a transfer.
Wait, I guess not that many.
Let's see.
Luke, no. Braden, no. Bo, no.
2.
Yeah,
Just those 2.
but 2.
So that is it's a conversation.
And Penn State fans like to remind us that those actually don't count as transfers. Even though they went and transferred, they're actually not transfers. So there's some transfers that are and there aren't.
Yeah.
And even though they both are, they don't.
Mitchell
count.
did not make the junior world team and medal at junior worlds before he transferred.
No, and Greg was not a cadet world champion. That did not happen
Didn't happen.
before he transferred.
Next question is from Matt Moran. He said, is Parker Keckeisen the greatest / most dominant one-time NCAA champion?
That is so hard to know.
Yeah.
There's some really
lot
good
of one
one-timers.
time, yeah.
He's got to be up there for, you think about the length of his career and the point scoring ability.
So good.
He had, I'm sure there are others who compare a 1-year run where they were just as dominant and were a 1-year champion. But when you think about 4 and 5 years, his ability to separate himself from guys who were a tier below, I can't say for sure, but off the top of my head, but he's got to be up there.
I bet he is the best combination of, and forget that he had 5 years. Just take his last 4 if you want, or however you want to mix and match. I it probably is the best one-time champion career on the whole.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
You know, maybe,
Nico?
huh?
Nico Megaludis?
Nico's up there, but Nico's true freshman year, he had kind of quite a few losses. Like,
Right.
when he made the finals as a true freshman, it's like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Nico just made the, yeah, like,
I was just thinking placements.
yep,
Did he have the dominance
2-2-3-2.
that Parker
No.
had?
No,
But again,
25 is just,
yeah.
people, it is such a difficult weight. 184, someone brought this up to me, so it's not my original thought, but kind of a chalk weight most years. Finished 1, 2, 3, 4 this year. Often, so 25 is just, you know, it's crazy because it's kind of, in many ways, it's like those lighter weights are like the heavyweights. Like it's so dense with talent, and they're really good athletes. So I don't know, but yeah,
style of
I think this question is great, and if you take it his 4-year run or 5-year, however you want to look at it, plus he's a one-time champion, it's up there.
All right, this is a non-Hodge question from Dion. He said, with the news of Yanni up at 70 kilos, what do we think of him moving up a weight, and can you prognosticate how he will look moving forward? Also, when Seabass moved up, the nickname Thick Bass was coined, and I need to know if we have one for a thicker Yanni.
It was thick bass. You kind of put them together, but
Well, that's what he said.
I know, but you said thick bat. I don't know. It's just the way you said it.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, Big John. You know,
That's a Jimmy John sub.
really.
Yeah.
Big John, because his real name's John Michael Montgomery Diakomahalis. Yeah, 70 I think is good. I mean, the stories of him making 65 at the Olympic trials made their rounds. It was not a pretty scene for Yanni there. I'm excited he's going. I kind of didn't think he was going to wrestle this year, just post surgery and everything.
Yeah.
This is what I was hearing, but I'm excited to see what he can do.
Already entered for the Open.
I know, that's exciting.
If he's healthy, yeah, he's going to be great.
I like Big John.
Big John.
What year did he win? What weight did he win the Open at in 2019?
65.
65.
Okay. Next question is from Cornell Kevin. He said, what would Storace have placed at NCAAs had he wrestled 197 this year, which was previously discussed as a possible option before the season started?
Does he get to build into 197? Like, is he 197 all year?
Yeah, of course.
He wins.
I think he would have won it.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I mean, well, okay, put it this way. If Parker before this year said, I'm going up to 197, who would have been your pick to win 197?
Parker. Oh, wait. Oh, you said Parker?
Mm-hmm.
To win 197? Ooh, I would have picked AJ.
I don't know.
Nah.
I don't know. I think I probably would have. I'm just a guy who picks Carter until he loses in this folk style game.
And it works.
Master of freaking tactics. Psycho. You want to talk about, AJ talks about mental tenacity. This is the most mentally tenacious competitor we have seen in a really long time. And there's so many greats. But this guy's ability to focus. I mean, think Aaron Brooks is someone I think is a better wrestler than Carter Storace. And even he had lapses. He had 2 lapses.
Yeah.
He lost to Marcus Coleman. He lost to Miles Amin. Guys that
Well,
he is,
one of those guys is really, really good.
but he's better than them.
Marcus Coleman.
He is better than Miles. He is better than Marcus Coleman. And he lost. And that just shows just how hard it is and just how it's so unlikely to not have to slip on the banana peel one time. And he never did for 4 years. That's crazy. That's AJ, mental tenacity.
Well, Miles would have been better.
I use that all the time. I was talking about that with Caleb. Mentally tenacious.
All right. Next question is from Jay. He said, is Penn State going to try to get a full-fed heavyweight through the portal until Marisola can put on some weight? Seems to be a hole in their lineup compared to the rest of it.
I think Cale will always try to improve his team and his roster. And certainly if there was a guy in the portal that he thought would fit, I think they would go after him. I mean, he has no hesitation. This is a program that has no hesitation about creating a crowded situation at really any weight class. Look at the first 3 weights. They're going to have Luke Lillidaw. Very soon they're going to have Luke Lillidaw, Nate Desmond, Braden Davis, Aaron Nagao, Masanosuke Ono, Marcus Blaze, right? So I don't know if they're going to try and do that, but I think if
The opportunity presents itself.
absolutely. Yep. Exactly right, JD.
All right. How are my 90s? says, hold on, how do I get this in there?
Do you ever wonder if you're going to actually accidentally, and I don't think you did here, but like read one that's actually like some dirty double entendre? Like, I feel like I would.
By accident.
I mean, I would do that on purpose. I think
Okay.
that would be funny.
Yeah.
How My 90 said, who would win 2017 PSU versus 2024, 2025 PSU? Also, any other cool hypothetical matchups between current and old teams?
Well, I feel like 24, 25 would probably win just because they just have there were some guys in the lineup for that Penn State team are not, all Americans. They struggled. I don't even know if they qualified all 10 that year.
Like, how do you think the 5 champs would do against this year's?
So that's Zane versus Van Ness.
Yep.
That's pretty obviously Zane. That's Nolf
Don't
versus
ask Penn State fans
Gaysack.
a couple months ago, though.
I know dude, that was crazy. They're like, this is the next Zane Rutherford. Guys, didn't y'all watch Zane? No. Nolf beats Kasak. Yeah. Chenzo versus Mitchell.
Ooh.
Duel? Mitchell. NCAA Finals?
Dude, I mean, I think that's. Did you watch what Chenzo and Nolf had a crazy match at the U.S. Open a couple of years ago? Like, Chenzo beat Aymar.
Yeah.
I feel like I would lean Chenzo.
I might too. That's an interesting, and he's big.
Yeah.
I feel like Mitchell's not the biggest 65. Oh, it's tough not to.
Chenzo is different than any of the other athletes at 165 this year that Mitchell wrestled. You know?
Yes.
Like by a long shot.
Yes. 74 is Mark Hall versus Levi Haynes. I think that's a super close match.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget how good Mark Hall was in college.
I have no idea. So
like
2017, Mark Hall lost to Alex Meyer, Christian Brucky, Bo Jordan. I think that was it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Levi Haynes, I don't think would lose to those guys. But this is, true junior Levi versus true freshman. I'd probably lean Levi, but I don't know how anyone scores in that match. Honestly.
Yeah, right.
Who is Levi taking him down? Probably not.
It's rideouts.
Rideouts. Yeah, ride out for Levi. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Levi there were a couple matches where
Mark was pretty good on top, was he not?
Solid.
Like a good rider. I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. Then 84, Starachi versus Bo Nickel.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Can the mental tenacity?
So that's the thing.
Carter.
I kind of think Bo is better, but I think Carter would win.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It's crazy though, because what year was it? Was that the year that Bo beat Gabe Dean? And it was like, who was giving Bo? I know.
I did.
But it feels similar to that style of matchup.
It does. Golly, that's a crazy one. Those are some fun hypotheticals. And then Lightning Luke versus Nick Suriano.
Oh, that's.
And I honestly thought, I said this going into this year, I was like, Luke Lildahl reminds me of Suriano, just like skill set wise. I thought the comparisons were really interesting. Yeah, fun. Keep going.
Okay.
I'm having a ball.
Next question, you mean, or keep going with
Yeah.
hypothetical? Okay. Next question is from Dan Patterson. By the way, our producer, are we good to go over? I think we're good. Anyways, Dan Patterson said, thoughts on changing the stall rule? He said yes. Thoughts on changing the stall rule to warning 1, 2, like 1 point and then 2 points? Is that what he's asking?
All this goes away.
The single takedown and running. Also, what if a coach throws a brick and it's confirmed they lose a point?
I would say, I really think an actual punitive out of bounds changes all this. You don't have to augment the stall penalties if going out of bounds is properly penalized. If you go out of bounds under attack, or really any circumstance, honestly, it should be just a hard stall call or a hard point, whatever it was. It should be a thing, right? I'm not romanticizing the edge takedown sequences. I don't think they're that cool.
I mean, you could have just the grounding call in folk style.
Ugh.
Right? I mean,
Barf.
in a similar way where
You
it's
could
like,
actually, NCAA could just do it right and like penalize it if you're grounded too. Like,
You know what's crazy is that the edge stall calls, the way they are called now, or sometimes they're called differently by and large, but they've completely eradicated fleeing the mat. Like there's no more.
well, I think it doesn't. I think it literally doesn't exist in the rule book.
It doesn't exist in the rule book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
Took it out.
But like, even if you flee on your first one, you're just gonna get warned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm people know where I stand. I'm team push out,
Yeah.
but I think that solves.
Stay in
this
bounds.
problem.
No self-respecting sport rewards going out of bounds. It's only ever a penalty. What other sport is it good to go out of
I think
bounds?
it should just be a step up point.
Football, when you want to stop the clock,
Warning. Yeah, but you're grounded. You're down. You can't progress.
you can't progress the ball forward. I know.
Yeah.
And you're not penalized, and it's
Yeah.
it is a good idea.
Yeah.
You think it should be a step out?
It should be I don't know if it should be a point or a straight warning. Probably a point because guys would get stalled out quick if you're like, yeah, I would be open to a straight point.
But yes,
Sometimes in folk style now, the guy who's pressuring can get called for stalling because he's like forcing the guy out of bounds. Is that true or false?
That's what.
That's
oh,
100%
that's
true.
super
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't let him back in. Well, why are we on the edge, sir? May I inquire? Why are his feet out of bounds? Like control, where you are on the mat is control. If I'm moving you around, I'm controlling you. I don't have to be on top to be controlling you. If I'm making you move here, if every step I take is forward, and every step you take, how is that not just in wrestling, but just in the concept of sport? How could that be viewed as anything but like a negative? And I get like sometimes people back up to go forward. That can still happen. But if it's back, and then I shoot, I'm on your leg and we're out of bounds, not good.
I do think there is a way to do like a clear step out, whether you want to do a stall or a point, and still have like, because like the counter to that is, oh, edge wrestling is so awesome, which I do agree, it's fun, but like I think you could get to a place where like similarly to freestyle grounded, where if you're in the danger zone, like, and it starts like the scramble or whatever on the mat starts before that, you just let it go, or like there is some like subjectivity.
Well, it's
where
almost
you
like an
allow
and
it.
one in basketball. It's like you get the warning's coming, but also you're finishing.
You let the position continue until you go completely out of bounds. I think there's a world where you could create a rule around that.
I did not expect this.
This is way closer than I thought it would be.
Only 39 votes.
The
steal.
we didn't really touch the other part of that question where like the coaches, or you lose a point if you lose a challenge.
JD went off on this already.
There needs to be something. And then I also saw something going around where like make it like freestyle where you just get one challenge per match. No, like don't make that. Like don't give people more challenges per. Like we should give them less.
Yes.
Like, you should. Like, there should be a limited
One
amount
challenge
you
per
get.
match is crazy.
Especially in folk style. It's in the way the challenges go.
Dude,
It's
I ask Christian. I was up there I could only watch like half the matches. Me and Connor were alternating, like filming the champs as they came down the tunnel. But during the NCAA finals, I was like complaining. I was like, this is not fun. Like there's a challenge every time there's action. Like this is so low scoring. Like this, I was complaining about the whole finals until Wyatt's match.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that was pretty cool finals. But like leading up to that, I was like, this sucks. Like this is a terrible product. Imagine showing this to your friend. Like it wouldn't. I feel like it wouldn't go well. Every single time there was action, it was challenged.
Yeah.
Anyways, we ran a poll that said, should college wrestling have a step-out rule? It's 56% yes, 44% no.
It's tightening.
On our YouTube chat. So I honestly expected it to be like way heavier yes. And I didn't even specify like a step-out point or anything.
Just a rule.
Just a rule. And a lot of people are saying no. So
Keep it cooking.
that was interesting. Next question is from John Aff. He said, do we know Ono and other international wrestlers' ability for NCAA wrestling? I assume full eligibility based on Sakamoto having full eligibility, but I know what assuming does.
We all do, John.
I think Sakamoto probably came to the States right after high school, right?
yes.
Yeah,
And
Masa.
Ono has been attending college.
Yeah, I don't know how that factors in.
So I do the recruiting class rankings, and I'm like, do I include him in 2025?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
What's the recruiting class?
When did he have his?
recruit in the class of 2025, Masana?
Oh yeah. Should we put him on the big board?
We have to. Yeah.
I mean,
Dude, how?
kind of treat it more as like a transfer. Which
What?
is
Hold
one
on.
of the
What
big
if we,
words.
dude? What if we found out he was coming to America this year, but he wasn't gonna wrestle college? We could get him in Who's Number One.
Oh my god.
Put him versus Jax Forrest.
Mandia, who's number 1?
Yeah,
Gosh.
So funny.
Man.
that'd be awesome.
All right, next question.
But we don't know his eligibility to answer the question.
Yeah,
No,
we
we
have
don't-
no
we
idea.
really don't.
It'll be interesting to see. Next question is from LCA. They want to know over or under 5 transfer NCAA champions next year.
That sounds way high.
Mitchell will count as one.
Mitchell is one.
Okay. I thought he meant
Troy
like.
Spratley wins. There's another.
Oh, I thought like that we're transferring this year.
No. I think
33,
just
Nasir Bailey. Yeah.
You
I
could
mean,
do
I'll
one.
take the under.
41.
Oh,
I mean, do you count Ono as a transfer?
Yeah, Japan.
No.
From whatever university he's going to there.
oh, has to be an NCAA transfer.
Yeah. 49, anybody?
I mean, are you counting Yonger Bastida as a transfer then?
Yeah.
No.
Ohio
Transfer
State.
from Cuba.
Ohio State.
He was not at Ohio State. That's
Oh,
Echeverria.
sorry. Oh, man. That's my bad.
Got your Cubans mixed up.
Yeah.
I was thinking 49, Cubans.
Next question is from Slink. He wants to know, what current 133 or 41 do you want to see Ono wrestle the most? I'm going to add in folk style. Ono versus Mendez or something like Ono versus Crookham or Bird?
I think what you want to see. I mean, Mendez would be kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Mendez would be great.
Mendez is like world level freestyler, guys.
It's
And
close to making the Olympic team.
and he's got that. He's got the wrist tilt, right? Which everyone says already will be Ono's great weakness. Masana Suke Ono's great weakness, based on I don't know vibes. So I think probably Mendez.
Yeah. Crookham's really good on top, too. He's kind of gets underrated for that. And then his scrambling ability, I think, is what people view as
It's
what will
not
give
going
him
to
a
be
hard time.
easy for Ono to finish his ankle attacks on Crookham. Not
That rubber knee.
and a lot of the time he can take guys to the edge and get freestyle points no matter what. Like, I don't know, man. I think Ono versus Crookham is a match.
Yeah, like I don't think he like majors him. You know, it's in the balance, but I just what I saw that guy do, what he can do on his feet is insane, and I just feel like, yeah, guys are gonna want to dive under him. That'll be a challenge, but I don't know.
I feel like a lot of people immediately thought Ono 133 because 61 kilos. But does it make more sense to go 41 with Bo leaving? And you've got
Depends on if he wants to go 57 kilos.
Braden Davis
long
there?
term.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if that matters.
You don't think that matters?
No,
I think it probably depends more on like where does Marcus Blaze go? You know,
Is Nagao going to enter the portal, by the way?
I don't know.
Do you think he should?
Well, what depends what he wants to do.
No.
you
Well,
want to
if you-
start somewhere.
If you want to be on the Penn State team, I wouldn't. But if you want to start, it would seem reasonable that he would need to do that. Just depends what he wants to do. But yeah, I want to see him versus Mendez. Dang, I don't know, man. Mendez versus Ono? Can you make Ono the favorite there against a 2-time national champion? I don't know.
You can.
There's no loss against it. I don't know.
It's so hard. Dude, I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Ono folk style is going to look like. I don't know how
I
comfortable.
think right now I would maybe pick Jesse. Even though a little earlier in this show I just said I would pick Ono until he loses.
Dude, he's not comfortable
But-
in a lot of these positions yet.
I mean, think about like
you gotta
the
assume.
somersault roll he hit on Bo. Like Ono's never had to deal with that. Now,
Like the muscle memory is not there. I think
Now-
it's a lot easier to transfer from folk style to freestyle than it is from freestyle to folk style.
Interesting.
I said easier. Slow your roll.
Oh, no.
now give him
How much time?
9 months of folk style training at
And listen,
say maybe
Think about this.
opinions different.
How
but
do
right
we
now-
know he hasn't already been working on folk style? He was there.
Yeah, for
Do you think
3
they
months.
just had the idea to? I'll say this: Ono doesn't go to Penn State for several months without this being a possibility on the front end,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? So it would stand to reason to me that the folk style training probably began in some instance. I'm telling you,
For sure.
yes.
Yeah.
He gave me the look.
Yeah.
I think he was focused on freestyle.
No way.
No.
No way.
He's playing dodgeball. You don't
yeah,
think he was also wrestling folk style?
Dodgeball is folk style.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was there, he only played with the club.
But they had a little special practice for us. Yeah, I think
You saw what they wanted you.
Yes, exactly. Come on, JD.
I'm saying I don't think he was working stand-ups.
Oh, I bet he was working. I heard he trained with Braden
around.
Davis.
Maybe he played around a
Switches.
I
little bit.
promise you. I would be shocked if he didn't learn an aspect of folk style, if they didn't show him, if he didn't mess around with it a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
Coffee grinder.
I'll freaking ask him.
Sure, there's a difference between like,
Dang, it's
hey, let's
like-
play folk style, and all right, let's lock in.
I
And
think it's the middle of the night in Japan right now.
It is. What a beast for him coming on.
He's gonna respond.
No.
Call him.
I'm gonna call
Wake him up. No, don't call him.
I'm not gonna call him. I don't have his number.
We're about to.
I don't have his
You can
digits.
call him on Instagram. All right, next question's from Hepner. He said, I know past accomplishments aren't part of the Hodge criteria, but do you think Carter being a 5-time champion and 104-2, not including 2 MF, I don't know what that means.
Medical
Plays-
forfeits.
There you go. Plays any factor mentally in the decision in the decision making of voters, not fans, even though it shouldn't.
Yeah, I think for some, I mean, Richard Emmett literally tweeted he's a 5-time national champion. That's a voter who said that factored in for him. So, yes.
Okay, next one. Baby Brands wants to know, will there be an annual wrestler from Penn State that couldn't crack the lineup but goes to the portal and AAs? Will this year's Bear Claw Award winner be Facundo or Nagao or maybe Seeley?
Is Seeley in the portal?
I don't think so.
No. Facundo looks like, yeah.
I mean,
Facundo's the
Nagao
only
has
one in
placed.
of those names.
Nagao is an All-American.
He's not in the portal yet, though.
Will it happen?
portal.
Will it happen annually though? Like, it doesn't look like it's slowing down. That they're going to be crowded at weights with all-American contenders. So might not happen every year, but probably going to be more common.
Yeah, probably so.
I mean, at least qualifiers.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Neville's almost got there. I think he was around.
it was
12.
cool when Bear Claw All-American, like the Penn State crowd, gave him a standing O.
Yeah.
Basically. That was cool.
That's cool.
It almost it confused me. I was like, "What's happening?" 'Cause I was looking. I don't think they had another guy on the mat, and I was like, "Oh, Bear Claw." That was cool.
All right, it's too many questions. We can't get to them all. It's 11:55. We're 25 minutes over.
Dang.
I have a meeting in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I had a
Mr.
meeting. I had a meeting at 11:30.
Mr. Management over here. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, guys. I'm being told by Tyler we can't do the show anymore. So if you wanted more show, talk to Tyler. No, it probably is time. All good things must come to an end, including episode 1115 of FloWrestling Radio Live. We will be back Monday, back on our regular schedule. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So much content coming out. So much content yet to come. Thank you guys so much for locking in on our NCAA coverage. Craziest numbers. You guys were out of control looking at all our stuff on the site, on social. And we thank you very much for that. For the gang, I'm Christian Piles. Thanks so much. See you Monday. Goodbye.